What is going on, everybody? We have two special guests that I was lucky enough to sit with at the Jets-Giants joint practice. You know them. It's Mr. Matt O'Leary and Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7, the Talkin' Jets panel. We're going to give you guys our biggest takeaways from the New York Jets and the New York Giants joint practice. A lot happened, and I want to start off with the positives, which is the injury news. Quinnen Williams back at practice. Mason Taylor back at practice. John Simpson back at practice. And Jermaine Johnson, he did not participate in team drills, but the good news is the Jets are getting healthy. Now, the Jets offense, they started off really strong, and then they cooled off. So, Matt, I want to start off with you. What was your biggest takeaways from the New York Jets taking on the New York Giants today?
Yeah, so one of the things that I was looking at was the offensive line matchups going up against the strong defensive line of the New York Giants. I thought Olu Fashanu had a pretty good day, right? No standouts as a negative. I thought Armand Membou had a tough go, especially with Brian Burns. There was a couple times I noticed it felt like Brian Burns was getting pressure in the backfield, and that's expected, right? That's going to happen anytime a young player is going to go up against an established veteran like that. That's the strength of their line. You have Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence as well, rushing off the edge with Thibodeau and Burns. So tough test, but I thought overall they did an okay job. But the one standout to me on the, negative side was Armand Membou growing pains going up against a guy like Brian Burns.
Yeah, the offensive line was something I was really intrigued to watch because the New York Giants could arguably have the best defensive line of football this year. And Olu Fashanu looked fantastic. I mean, every time I kept my eyes peeled on him, he was holding his ground against Kayvon Thibodeau. Now, Kayvon Thibodeau may be not as good as Abdul Carter or Brian Burns, but really cool showing from Olu Fashanu at left tackle. And the Jets offense as a whole, Justin Fields was lighting it up to start off practice, but then the Giants defense started to get the better of Justin Fields, and they kind of cooled off at the end. So, Ryan, what was your biggest takeaways that you saw today at Jets practice with the Giants?
Yeah, I felt like the red zone drills kind of opened up a little more maybe concern for the first team offense. I was kind of trying to keep an eye on the split of carries between Breece and Braylon. It felt like they were pretty much 50-50 with the first team. They flexed Breece out a few times as a receiver, which I like seeing. Obviously, I think we've had this discussion a few times now where we think he could be in line for the second most receptions on the season for the Jets. I think it'll be a wide receiver 2 by committee. There didn't seem to be like a strong number 2 consensus from what we saw today. But overall, pretty happy with how the Jets performed on the whole, but I think the Giants probably, if you were to check some boxes, may have gotten the best of the Jets today.
Yeah, and it's important to note that when we were at practice as fans, the Jets' defense is on the far field, so we can't really evaluate what happened defensively with the New York Jets only until at the end of practice where it all happens on one field, and that's what happened today. They did red zone drills. They did not have a drive the field drill, and Russell Wilson in the offense, they kind of torched the Jets defense in the red zone. He had 3 straight touchdowns. Two of them were passing, and the other one was a rushing touchdown. So the Jets defense did not look good today in the red zone, and then the Jets offense in the red zone, Justin Fields, the pressure was there. He had a missed throw to Breece Hall over the middle for a touchdown, but then he bounced back and had a play action rollout and had a crazy sidearm throw to Jeremy Ruckert. How about that? Jeremy Ruckert gets in the end zone for the touchdown. And there were some other good throws that Justin Fields had early on in practice in 7-on-7. He had a nice one down the right sideline to Braylon Allen. He also had a really nice throw on the run to Tyler Johnson down the left sideline. I think the Jets posted a clip of that. And then Mason Taylor, his return to practice, he had that diving catch on the left sideline. So there's a lot to evaluate with this New York Jets team at joint practice. But Matt, what do you think the Jets can take away from a joint practice with the Giants heading into tomorrow? Like, what can the Jets get out of this compared to preseason games in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, we just see everyone going 100% right now in these joint practices. And, I don't know what the plan is for the starters and the number ones in this game. I'm assuming they're going to play a decent amount. But at the same time, I've talked before about the offensive line going up against the defensive line. For me, I just think it's good for the young players to hit other players on other teams, right? Like they're going up against the same guys on the Jets every single day. And we saw it at the end. There was a couple of skirmishes. Tyler Barron got in the mix. I didn't really get a chance to see who started the second one, but it was getting a little feisty today at the end. So I wonder if that carries over into tomorrow also.
And you saw Aaron Glenn get in the middle right away, broke it up, which was cool to see Aaron Glenn get involved with the joint practices. But it's just the first time the Jets are seeing another opponent, not, of course, including the Packers game Saturday night at practice. And you can take valuable reps with this Jets football team going up against the Giants. So, Ryan, what do you think the Jets can take from today's practice, and what do you want to see from them? We're not going to be there tomorrow because it's at the Giants facility, but what do you want to hear from the beat reporters coming out of Jets camp tomorrow? Do you want to see the Jets offense improve, the defense? What do you think you want them to improve on tomorrow?
Yeah, the O-line's really where the focus is going to be. The Giants' front seven, D-line in particular, is very, very stout. So as good as we felt about the offensive line through that first preseason game, I feel like having good showings versus this particular defensive line is going to make me feel a lot more comfortable. And it's not just smoke and mirrors that we saw from the first preseason game. I'm really hoping, for the preseason game, I really want to see Malik Neighbors if he's going to play versus Sauce.
He ran from us.
I know, he didn't want to get any of Sauce, so unfortunately we didn't get to see him out there today. But yeah, the defensive side of the ball is something that we wish we could have seen a little bit more of because the distance on the field.
Yeah, and a big matchup to watch today was Malik Neighbors versus Sauce Gardner, but we saw the news right before practice started. Malik Neighbors is not practicing. Did Malik Neighbors run from Sauce, Matt?
Yes. You know what? He did. He clearly was afraid of Sauce Gardner, didn't want to get clamped down like all the Packers wide receivers did in this game on Saturday.
And I want to finish off this video with you guys. Your biggest takeaways from the Jets preseason week 1 opener. And I don't want to overreact or anything, but I see 16 wins now after that dominant. I don't know about you guys. It's a joke. Relax. But Ryan, I want to start off with you. Biggest takeaways from week 1. Aaron Glenn, first time seeing what he looks like on the sideline. Justin Fields drives down the field on one drive, very limited sample size. What was your biggest takeaways?
So honestly, I loved what we got out of Tanner Engstrand and how the offense flowed across the entire game. It wasn't just that first series with Fields, but the second series, the third series. As you continue to see, it seemed like more of a cohesive play calling experience than what we saw the last few years with Nathaniel Hackett. So it feels like the coaching staff, both with Wilkes on the defensive side, Engstrand on the offensive side, and then Glenn kind of wrapping it all together. It feels like we have a bunch of adults in the room, and it's up like. Regardless of whether it be in preseason or not, you're not getting the pre-snap penalties the way you were. Obviously, we hope we cut down on the 10 overall penalties, but I like what we saw from the coaching staff. I think that was my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, the coaching staff was on full display. You can't really evaluate one drive as an offense, but you can look at a totality of 4 quarters. The depth of the New York Jets was tested, and the coaching was on full display. Matt, your biggest takeaways from that Week 1 win over the Packers?
Yeah, just to add on top of your arm's going to work out today, Richie.
Yeah, dude, it's burning.
Just to add on top of what Ryan was saying, I wanted to highlight specifically the offensive line. I thought the first team offensive line looked particularly strong and created a bunch of holes in the run game. And I thought Justin Fields was working from clean pockets all night on that first drive. And even beyond just the starters, like the Stone Smart touchdown really stands out because the offensive line was getting out in space and creating room for Stone Smart, the tight end, on the screen. I think that's something we're going to see a lot this year coming from, obviously, the Jets starters. But I thought it was a really good first showing, and hopefully we see more of that this week.
So that's going to wrap up this video. Thank you to Matt and Ryan for coming on here to the Jets Media channel to break down today's practice. Do me a favor, go subscribe to Matt O'Leary and Ryan's channel and their Talking Jets panel as well. To wrap up the Jets-Giants joint practice today in a nutshell, Justin Fields in the offense started off extremely hot. I think he was 11 of 12 in the first 2 series, and then it all cooled down, and the Giants' defense was getting the better of the New York Jets offense. So very curious to see how they bounce back tomorrow. Jets-Giants joint practice will be at the Giants facility. I'm trying to get access to there, but I can't find anybody. So stay tuned if I can get into enemy territory tomorrow. But appreciate you guys tuning in, and let's go Jets.